Hi everyone. Today our homework we are going to start talking about volume. Before we start, I want to make sure that we recognize we have been working with rectangles and circles and triangles, and those are all two-dimensional shapes. A two-dimensional shape has two measurements, base and height, length and width, but now that we're moving into volume, a volume is a three-dimensional shape. So if we look at my tissue box, it has a length, a width, right? Length, width, but it also has a height. It has a third dimension that we're going to need to account for when we're finding volume. So first, let's just define volume. Volume is the amount of space an object takes up. Volume is the amount of space an object takes up. Okay, and I want us to remember that our units are going to be units cubed. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Here we have a problem. You have two options for soup. They both cost $2.50, but which one is the better deal? The box of soup or the can? So if they both cost the same, we need to figure out which one has more soup. And to find the amount of soup, we need to find the volume, the amount of space inside each of our containers. When we think about volume, the formulas are very similar to our area formulas. So I'm going to use this pile of sticky notes. Before, we would be finding the area of one sticky note. Sticky notes are about 3 inches by 3 inches, so the area of this sticky note would be 9. But if we want to find the volume, I'm going to do my length by my width, so 3 by 3. But now I need to figure out how many sticky notes are piled up on top of each other here. Okay, and what's the measurement for each one? That's the height. So this is maybe half an inch, so 3 times 3 times 1/2. So we are going to take the formula we know for area of a rectangle, which is length times width, but now I have to also account for the height. So volume of a rectangular prism is length times width. That'll be one sticky note, and then we need to multiply that by the height. How many sticky notes are there? This is a pretty simple formula, and don't get confused by length, width, height. Height's the easy one, but if you get confused on length and width, you can label either. So I'm going to put length, width, height. My length is 3 inches times my width, 4 inches, times my height, 8 inches. So 3 times 4 is 12. And we need to bring down our times 8. 12 times 8 is 96 inches squared. So that is how much soup we have in our box. And now when we think about units, when we did length times width, so if we did 3 inches times 4 inches, we said that it was 12 inches squared. And we got the inches squared because inches times inches is inches squared. But here we're going to have 3 inches. Inches times inches times inches. And that's where we get this units cubed. So that was a mistake on my part. Our unit should be 96 inches cubed because we're now multiplying inches by itself 3 times. And if we think about 3 times 3 times 3, 3 times 3 times 3 can be written as 3 cubed. 5 times 5 times 5 can be written as 5 cubed. So inches times inches times inches, inches cubed. I don't like that I messed that up. Let's make sure that it's clear. That is inches cubed. Now we can do a similar thing with our can of soup. So volume is going to be similar to the area formula. area of a circle is pi r squared, but we need to multiply that by the height. So I have a little pile of pennies here. If I find the area of 1 penny, we know that formula, pi r squared. But now I don't just have 1 penny, I have a stack of 15 pennies. So I'm going to take the area and I'm going to multiply it by the number of pennies I have to figure out how much space this whole stack of pennies has. So pi r squared gives me 1 penny. So that's the beginning of our formula. Oops. Volume equals pi times radius squared, but then we need to multiply it by how many pennies there are, or the height. So let's see about our can. They tell us the diameter is 4. So if diameter is 4, radius is 2. And our height is 5. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 5 times pi. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 pi. And pi is 3.14. You can use a calculator. So it is going to be, our volume of our can is going to be 62.8 inches cubed. So which option is the better deal? Well, the one that gives us more soup for the same amount of price. So we would want to buy our box of soup. This one is the better deal. You get more soup for $2.50. So we are going to use these formulas today in class, and hopefully we understand how those work coming into class. Go ahead and do the 2 problems on your own, and you will use those formulas that we boxed. See you tomorrow.